Come on dude, she's so fucking hot. Just climb the big tree right next to your fence. She'll never see you," Tony half whispered, half yelled in excitement. Clearly the 30-pack we destroyed in under 2 hours was starting to take its toll on our decision-making. "I don't know man, I'm 28 now. I'll go to jail if I get caught." "We're not teenagers anymore." I could see the disappointment in his face at my answer. "Yeah, you're right. Besides, you've gotten pretty boring in the last couple years," he said as his shoulders dropped. Apparently that was all drunk me needed to convince me to spy on my neighbor. "Fuck you, no I'm not. I'll fucking do it. You'll see just how boring I am," I shouted before chugging my last beer, attempting to smash the empty can on the top of my head after finishing it. It was a fail and I rubbed my sore spot. Tony smirked and nodded, as if I just agreed to do one of the greatest accomplishments man had ever done. I grabbed a bottle of water and a couple Slim Jims before heading out my back door. Didn't wanna end up starving myself during a drunken munchies moment. I opened the back door and was shocked to see it was still light out. I shielded my eyes to block the blinding rays from the sun. "What time is it?" I asked Tony before walking outside. He dug in his pockets searching for his phone before pulling it out a few seconds later. "Fuck, it's only 4 in the afternoon." We both burst into laughter. My house has dark curtains due to me being a third shifter and sleeping during the day. In our drunken stupor it felt like it was midnight. Since there was no way I could sit in the tree for 6 hours before it got dark, Tony made the decision to walk up to the local convenience store and buy more beer. After he got back we drank nearly all of it and were having blast. Before we knew it, it was 9:45 p.m. and fairly dark outside. We quickly decided to stick to the plan and I was going to sit in my tree until 1 a.m. to see if I could catch a glance at Amber's hot neighbor, boobs or ass. We knew it was childish and highly illegal, but at the time it sounded like a great idea. "Remember, if it works, I'm gonna sit up there next weekend," Tony whispered loudly as I snuck through my backyard. I shushed him angrily. I turned back around and clumsily snuck up to the big tree by the fence separating mine and Amber's yard. The tree was full of branches and leaves and actually looked like it was hiding me pretty good. "Shit, this is perfect for spying," I whispered as I hoisted my body up the first branch. The tree was easy to climb even in my drunken state. It didn't take long until I was high enough to see over the fence. To my surprise there was a decent-sized gap in the branches, perfectly sized for me to see into her house. Right away I could tell it was her bedroom judging by the dresser and TV. "Yes," I pumped my fist in the air. I wobbled and had to catch myself from falling. After getting my grip I decided it would be wise to sit as still as possible so as not to be seen. I sat for probably 20 minutes, bored out of my mind, before I finally seen her bedroom door slowly opening. My whole body clenched and my heart started to pump furiously. This was what I was waiting for. Amber walked into view wearing what appeared to be a white shower robe. My heart fluttered in excitement. This was exactly what I was hoping for. I gripped the branch I was holding onto tighter and waited in excitement to finally catch a glimpse of my neighbor in the nude. She walked slowly to her dresser as if teasing me. After reaching the dresser she opened the top drawer and began searching for what I thought was clothes. I was surprised to see her pull out what looked like an old musical box. She set it on top of the dresser and stared at it for what felt like 5 minutes straight. I was very confused as to why she was just standing there staring at it, like she was frozen in place. Finally she moved as she slowly reached out to a handle on the side of the box. It looked like she started to turn the handle, as if winding it like a musical box. "Okay," I whispered to myself. "Kind of weird I guess, cranking over a music box in middle of the night, but hey, whatever. Now get naked." I remember thinking to myself. After winding it up for maybe a minute or two she let go of the handle. To my surprise the handle started to unwind by itself and the lid slowly began to open. I stared in confusion as what looked like a doll's head started to rise out of the box. I was getting more than creeped out. Once the head was fully out of the box, I felt chills run down my spine. It was a perfect replica of my neighbor. It looked so real I could have swore it was her actual head inside that box. I stared in horror and watched as the head opened its eyes, revealing pure white, no pupils or nothing. Then, it turned its head directly to where I was sitting, and smiled the biggest, creepiest grin I've ever seen in my life. My heart started pounding in my chest. Everything about this felt horrifyingly wrong. I slowly looked from the head in the box to Amber's actual head. Holy fuck! I shouted and practically jumped out of the tree, twisting my ankle as I landed. I scrambled to my feet and started limping towards my back door. When I got about 5 feet from my door, I heard scratching at the fence, followed by a loud thud in the dirt. Tony! I screamed at the top of my lungs as I desperately limped the rest of the way to my house. Heavy footsteps started behind me as she started chasing me. Thankfully I reached the door and flung it open and practically dove inside. I reached back with my foot and kicked the door shut, sending waves of pain through my hurt ankle. Just as the door shut, she rammed into the other side with a loud thud. Tony! I screamed at the top of my lungs as I jumped up and locked the deadbolt. She pounded heavily against the door, trying her hardest to get inside. After another minute or so the banging stopped. I listened closely as I tried to get my panting under control. I couldn't hear anything. I sat for at least 10 minutes before I worked up the courage to look out the small window to the left of my door. I swallowed a huge lump in my throat as I slightly peeled back the corner of the curtain. I breathed a huge sigh of relief. I limped my way into the living room where Tony lay passed out on my floor. I walked over angrily and shook him as hard as I could. "What the fuck?" he asked groggily, clearly still drunk. "Dude, what the fuck? Why didn't you answer me?" I shouted angrily. "I was sleeping, man. I'm tired," he said with one eye open. I was extremely pissed off but couldn't really be mad at him. It's not like he knew some fucked up shit like that would happen. I told him everything I saw and he basically told me I was seeing things, that I fell asleep and dreamt the whole thing. I tried to argue, but the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I mean, I did drink like 40 beers throughout the day. After talking for another 5 minutes we decided to try and get some sleep, and surprisingly I slept like a baby until noon the next day. I was awoken by loud knocking at my front door. I ran to the door and opened it to find 2 police officers. After talking with them I found out my other neighbor from across the street was found dead in his garage this morning. He was found mutilated with almost every bone in his body broken. They asked me if I seen or heard anything last night and I told them I did not. I was not about to tell them about my experience that night. They'd either list me as a suspect or lock me up in a crazy home. I thought about everything that happened and decided that in fact I wasn't dreaming. I really did see what I saw and now realize I have a huge problem. Amber knows I know, and lives right next door. I'm completely fucked. I'm going to stay at Tony's house for a few nights and try and come up with another place to live. I don't think I can ever go back there. Wherever I do move though, I know one thing: I won't spy on my neighbor again.